Thank you for listening to the Tatnus Podcast on the Tatnus Co. Network.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, a Mercedes kind of sentiment, luxury and trust in me to honor the free we all should be. It sees my sundial burst into yin and yang, right and left me.
What's up, you guys? Welcome to the Tatnus Podcast. You know who I am by now, and if you don't know, thanks for checking it out, bro. My guest tonight is fucking ridiculously talented, and you're gonna hear it, so you'll see what I'm talking about. Anna Thompson, one of the dopest singers to come along. And everyone knows me, man. I'm a rap, hip-hop, metal cat. You know, love hard rock, love fucking metal and all that. And, you know, when it comes to pop singers, man, I give their due when I feel like they got a voice that's, you know, just fucking talent. And this is one of those cases, man. She is the dopest. And just a badass voice, badass singer. And to hear her thoughts on that genre of music is actually pretty cool, you know. It's not what you'd think. And, you know, it's one of those things that she's utilizing her voice in the best way possible. And I love it. I think she's just ridiculously talented. So we're going to get into that, and you're going to get to hear some of her music, man, and you'll see what I mean by I was floored, dude. Like, I was floored, honestly. When I first heard it, I was like, holy shit. I dropped what I was doing, and I was like, that voice is fucking just mind-blowing, to say the least. So, I think you'll see what I'm talking about, honestly. She's got some new stuff coming out, and I think you're going to dig it. So, check it out. This is Anna Thompson. Fucking amazing.
Say it back or maybe try to. Once I smoked a little too much before we passed out, 'cause you really got me thinking that you hear me when I try to. Telepathically tell you that I think I love you.
Okay, fuck. So, now that we got all that bullshit sorted, there's always the best conversations off air, I swear to God. And then people are like, oh, I missed it. But yeah, we were talking about, you know, the industry and shit like that. And you're coming up into it at a weird time where it's kind of like, for the longest time, it feels like indie was like a dirty word in the industry. Like, you felt like you were like not where you wanted to be if you were considered indie, but now it's like that's the shit. That's like, you know, you're your own business person at that point. And with everything now, you don't need a fucking label because you have access to like everybody because the internet, right?
Right.
So I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are on it, but you know, like we were talking about, it's kind of like you do everything yourself. Double-edged sword.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, being able to pursue music, especially pop music, independently is, you know, it's a blessing, but it's also quite difficult because one, you don't always have the funding of a major label behind you, so you can't always get the desirable push that you want. However, being independent in the beginning is definitely, in my opinion, the best way to go about things because you get to set the stage for the kind of artist you want to be. And, you know, maybe your numbers aren't as fantastical as they will be under, you know, UMG, Warner, etc. But if you can prove to major labels that this is what I do and it does well, then you can, in the future, potentially do exactly what you want with a major label. And I think a great example of that is Billie Eilish and her brother Phineas, who, you know, they're considered pop artists, but she came on the scene when she was, you know, 14, completely independent, and their song Ocean Eyes just went crazy. And they made an EP and it was great. Everybody loved it. And it did super well, and they did whatever they want. They weren't conforming to a particular genre or a particular type of production that a label was looking for. And then when they were eventually picked up and signed by who I believe to be Universal Music Group, you know, they made this crazy, weird album that did incredibly well because they had the ability to do whatever the fuck they wanted because they proved to the label previously that it worked and that people liked it. So she made this like super crazy, innovative new type of pop music, and it sold. They sold the records, and the label had the numbers to back it up. So they were like, okay, go do whatever you want.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other benefit to it is that it kind of forces your hand. It forces you to learn the business.
Yeah, absolutely. I've only had to learn how to do everything myself. And it is exhausting at times being your own A&R, your own manager, etc., your own publicist. But, you know, you get used to it.
Right. And, you know, and I'm guilty of it back in the day. I always felt like, you know, just the word indie was so like filth. You know, it was just like, ugh. It, to me, indie was like, it's like a fancy way of saying haven't made it yet.
Yeah.
But now I'm so fucking independently successful that it's the shit. Because it's like there's nothing you're going to keep me out of. I've gone from MMA, own my own business, MMA, fucking now movies, and whatever the fuck I want. And I independently fucking fund my own shit. I do whatever the fuck I want. I bought out a fucking film studio. Like, what do you think you're going to keep me out of? You know what I'm saying? There's people that try, they're like, oh, I'm going to, you know, they get on bad terms with me and like, I'm going to keep you out of this industry. I'm like, you want to get in the industry before you try to keep a motherfucker out, first of all. You know?
I think another big part of being independent in the music industry is, you know, just the matter of time and timing things the way you want them to go, because I did work with a label when I was really young, and that's how I initially got into the recording industry. A major label approached me and they offered me a record contract, and you know, I left high school and I dropped everything because this is a huge opportunity for me, who obviously wanted to pursue pop music. And you know, I got into the recording industry. I met a bunch of wonderful writers, producers, and I learned how things worked. And I worked with them for a little over a year. And I made all of these records, and they were good. They weren't great, but you know, they weren't great enough. So they didn't want to release them. And I was kind of stuck in this, like, I want it to happen now. I'm 16. I don't want to release my record, you know, my first record when I'm 18 or whatever. I'm 19 now, and that's when I ended up releasing my first record, and it went fine. But now it's like, I'm really glad that they didn't release my records, because I had the time to grow, learn how to write, and really perfect my sound and do it the way that I wanted to. And then the great thing was when my first record came out, which was Get Me High, I got the master back. The day that I got the master back, I submitted it, and it came out a week later. And there was no downtime. I didn't have to wait for a board of approval. I could just put it out. And it was awesome. It was like, yeah, I had to wait on the people working on it, but that was all I had to wait for, was just for it to be finished. And then once it was finished, I just put it out there.
That's the best. I mean, it's so different now. You know?
Yeah, anybody can release music if they want to.
Right. And there's no stopping them. And I think labels know that they're almost obsolete. They're not fucking necessary.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's there for people that are just like, I don't want to do all this shit by myself.
Yeah, that, and also just the funding in general, which is something that is admirable, you know, that I do want eventually, because in the beginning, when you're an independent artist, you are not making any money. It is mainly just an investment into the future of your career. And it's really fun to see things succeed on their own, but you're not exactly getting any monetary benefit from such. So you kind of have to wait, and then once the labels see that your things are doing well, then maybe they buy it, and then they're like, you know, I saw this one kid, he was releasing independent music, and then as soon as one of his songs blew up and somebody signed him, they released a record under the label within a week, because they wanted to strike while the iron was hot. And that's another great thing about being independent, is once a label sees that you're doing well, they're not going to make you wait either. They're going to get your stuff out as soon as possible. And they have the funding and the power to get everybody to get everything done. And that is also what's wonderful about having that, you know, foundation of, look what I did myself. Now let's do it better together with more money and more people. Right.
And see, I'm a fucking interesting motherfucker, because I get in this headspace sometimes where it's like, where the fuck were you when I was busting my ass trying to get, and then when it starts to do well, now you want a fucking piece of it? Fuck that. You know what I mean? Like, that's where I was at. And that's why I did everything myself. And I don't like people trying to tell me what the fuck I can and can't do with my own shit. So I totally respect like your concern and wanting to do it the indie way. So that way it's like no one's going to try to fuck with what I do because it works. It's a proven fucking, success. Like I don't need to be told how the fuck to go about this. And there's so many bands and shit that I know of that have that I know that have experienced that. No matter how successful they may have been, they've had labels try to fuck them and tell them like to change this, that, and the third. They had labels ask them to re-release an entire record with one fucking new song. That's not even new. It's just a different version. And they're like, no, Seether comes to mind. One of my favorite fucking bands. I love those cats. Awesome people. And they fucking did a different version of Broken, and fucking the label is like, now put this out as a second, like a new record. It's like, we're not going to do that to the fans. Expect them to buy a new record for one fucking new version of a song. So they went and they wrote like 20 new fucking songs just to make it worth buying. That's impressive. That's fucking, loyalty.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of like to play devil's advocate on occasion when it comes to the power that labels have, because yes, they do at times tend to compromise the creative control of particular artists and bands. But in my experience, I was Protestant when the label that I was working with was telling me how to do things, because I was like, I've been an artist my entire life. What do you know? And then I started, working with them more, learning more about what they do. And I was like, well, they know everything and you know nothing. You don't know how the industry works. You don't know how things perform. And frankly, I was being kind of selfish with my creative control in the beginning because I didn't know what was good. And I was 16. And I know it's probably a lot different for a lot of artists, but I am glad that they pushed me in directions that I initially did not see myself going in, because it made me a better artist at the end of the day. And I hold no ill will to the label that I worked with. I had a really amazing experience, and they're who taught me how to release music. I wouldn't be able to, do all of the back end stuff by myself if I didn't have that experience, because now I know how it works and I know what sells and I know what people like because they told me, and what I was making was not what sells.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely benefits. I'm not. Yeah. I don't want to come across like, I don't want the listeners and shit to think that I'm shitting on labels as a whole, because I mean, if they were all negative, you look at cats like, Eminem, for example. That motherfucker don't need no label at this point. That dude.
Yeah, you reach a certain point where it doesn't matter.
That dude could record himself taking a piss for 30 minutes and people would buy it. Like, you don't fucking need a label anymore, but obviously still with them. So there's got to be an upside. And, it's just, and not every label is like that are control freaks and, are about their bottom lines. But I've also known bands that had a terrible experience and they're like, I don't love this anymore, because for them, it's like about the bottom lines. For the band, it's about art. And there's a butting of heads, right?
I do resonate with what you said, that I don't love this anymore, because I did feel that briefly. Though I did learn a lot, and it was really exhilarating and exciting to be in a $1 million recording studio every day, surrounded by all of these successful, famous people who are, mentoring me. I felt very grateful and lucky to be a part of it, but also it reached a point where I was actually shocked by this, but they wanted me to have more creative control than I had. And they wanted me to start writing more, because I was not really interested in writing like I am now. Now I write all of my top lines myself. I don't have any co-writers. But at the time, I was just cutting demos, like writer demos that they would give me. And I loved it, because I was like, oh, this is singing. This is what I'm good at. I'm not good at the writing part. And then, they heard some of my stuff and they liked it a little bit. Not every part of it, but enough of it to the point where they were like, okay, let's pivot this. Let's get you and do writing sessions. And I was trying my best. It was really hard for me to be collaborative with professional writers every day, because I had never done it before. And we made some really cool records eventually. Unfortunately, I don't think they'll ever see the light of day. But shit, what was I gonna fucking say? Oh yeah, eventually they kind of had like a deadline for me. They were like, okay, you need to prove to us that you're capable of this. We need 10 song ideas a week. And I was like, what? 10 songs? I mean, not 10 full songs, but like 10 solid ideas a week that I had to send to my A&R. And it was exhausting because I had to force myself to write by the pop formula. And I've learned it now. And God, writing pop music is so much harder than I thought it would be, because you listen to the lyrical content and it's not that profound, but it's so hard to write something that melodically will get in people's heads, and like a hook with a good catchphrase that makes sense, that correlates with the rest of the lyrics. And it's a big puzzle piece that puts together this kind of like bubblegummy poppy experience that doesn't seem that complex, but going into it, it's very difficult. Anyways, I was exhausted writing. Plus, I was a high school student. I was 16. I was a junior in high school, and I was taking college classes at the same time, and which is why I ended up having to leave school. But it was just, I would get home from LA, and then I would sit in my bedroom for 2 weeks, and I would just write these stupid songs because I wasn't inspired. I was doing it because I was being told that I had to write. So none of them were good, and I just remember spending so many nights just like crying, being like, I don't know if I want to do this. If this is what it's like being an artist, this isn't fun for me. And it's taking away my love and passion for the actual art of making music and performing it, because it wasn't fun.
I hear you, and I know all too well what that feels like. And I was a tattoo artist for a while, and the first thing you learn when you do that shit is you suddenly have like 90 some best fucking friends that you never knew you had. And, you know, relatives fucking suddenly want to be closer to you that never gave you the time of day your whole fucking life, you know, and everyone wants something for free. And then it just got to a point where it's like, this sucks. Like, I don't even fucking want to do this anymore. And I love art so damn much that I was like, you know, I'm never, ever going to let people make me feel like something that I once loved as a job ever again. You know what I mean? So if I don't enjoy something, now I'm in a position where if I don't enjoy something, I don't have to fucking do it. I could retire like yesterday and I don't have to do shit. You know what I mean? So like, I don't have to fucking do anything. I've become successful enough that like I can enjoy whatever, and just the pressure's off. I'm gonna give it 110% because that's who I am. But like, I have nothing riding on it. You know what I mean? It's like, if I'm not enjoying it anymore, then why am I doing it?
Yeah, I haven't really reached the point in which the pressure has ever been on or off per se. The majority of the pressure right now at my point, because I'm in the very beginning stages of my career, even though I've been, you know, making music my entire life, this is when it's really starting to happen. I have 2 records out, and I have 1 more record coming out next Friday, which I'm super excited about. But, you know, I don't have any pressure on me to do a certain thing. But what's funny about working independently is there are phases in which you do things. Like, for example, I have not written in a while, like several weeks. And when I do, right now, I pretty much only write like a full cohesive idea, like maybe once every 3 weeks, because I already recorded all of the records that I'm planning on putting on the project. So now I'm so focused on researching how to promote it and how to get it out there, sending emails, doing Zoom calls with certain people, and just getting everything together, that I don't have the time to sit down and make more music. I already have this product here, and I'm just trying to get it done and get it out. And then when that's all said and done, then I can kind of have those moments of inspiration where I can sit down and write. Because the project that I'm working on releasing right now, it's nearly finished, but I wrote the whole thing in like a span of 3 weeks. It was just every day I would write a new song. I recorded a number of them. I picked which ones I wanted to put on the project, and now I'm putting them out. But that was like a giant spur of just writing. Like, all I did was just sit at my piano and write, and then I recorded them. and then I put it out, and it comes in waves, and I'm not entirely certain how that would work when you are working with a label, because I didn't have the experience of releasing music with a label yet. But I have a feeling that might not be as acceptable. I think you can't have waves of inspiration. I think you have to do what I was doing before when I was 16. When they tell you to write, you have to write. Maybe it's different when you have more success, when you're somebody like Eminem, where you can write whenever you want, because you can release an album whenever you want. You can release 2 in a month if you want, because you have proven that it doesn't matter. But when you're in my position, it's a little different, and you kind of have to conform to the way that things go, or else you're not going to make it. There's a set of rules and you have to follow them. And then once you get success by following those rules, then you can make them up yourself.
Right. Yeah. Marsh is like, I say, like, dude's like the Super Bowl. He puts shit out once a year and it's a big deal. You know what I mean? And then just fucks off for a year. Like, he afforded himself that right. No one can say he hasn't worked his ass off for like 20 fucking plus years. So, but you're right. Yeah. I think with labels, especially in the beginning, they feel like you owe them some kind of proof that it's not a flash in the pan. So they want consistency, and they want, ideally they want like a fucking catalog worth of shit that they can just release whenever. You know what I mean? So even if you do kind of hit that wall, it's like, we still got stuff.
Yeah.
So we're good. But no bullshit, man. I heard your stuff and I was just blown the fuck away, because I was like, God damn. Like, there's talent, and then there's like talent of like, oh, fuck you for being so talented kind of deal. You know what I mean? And that's where I was at. I almost threw my phone down. I was like, this is bullshit. Like, this is not fair. You know?
I appreciate it.
Oh, it's true though. Like, I don't blow smoke up anyone's ass, man. And I was floored, and I was like, holy shit, dude. I'm like, fuck, this is crazy. So, I was like, I definitely got to get you on my fucking show, because this needs promoting like fucking yesterday. Not that you're not getting it anyway, but I would love to contribute to that, and just
it's much appreciated. Thank you. I'm really glad you like the records, because I know that my style of pop, it's like very in your face. This is pop music. This is the most bubblegummy, sparkly, shiny pop you have ever heard. And I love that, because I don't think that reflects my personality at all. In fact, the biggest comment that I get from my followers is, I did not expect you to sound like that when you started singing. and I kind of like that dichotomy, because it keeps it interesting. But I'm glad you like the records, because it's not everybody's cup of tea.
Well, that's the thing too that floored me. It was I'm a fucking like rap fucking fan and a metal fan and shit, but there's just something about like when you hear a voice that's so goddamn undeniably fucking amazing. It's just like, I don't give a fuck what the fuck it is at this point. Like, that, you can't deny talent. That's fucking unreal. You know what I mean? And so I was like, damn, that is fucking such talent that I was just blown the fuck away. So, it was like, good Lord, I need to talk to this person, because that shit is crazy. And then I seen, a lot of the promo stuff you've done and whatever, and it seems like your style is like totally right up my alley, because I'm a huge, like, I'm from the hood, man. So like I'm a huge like graffiti fucking like cultured lover. All that kind of shit just kind of is home to me. When I see it, it's just home. You know what I mean? And then I seen some of your stuff contains shit like that, and I'm like, oh, this is just so perfect. It's just like, it seemed like we have the same personality in that regard. So I was like, this is gonna be a cool show if I can pull this off, because I don't know your schedule, and it's just funny, man. It's like, you don't know somebody's schedule, and you say that to people sometimes and they get weirded out, because they're like, well, why the fuck wouldn't I do your show? It's like, yeah, I've had people like, motherfucker, I've seen who's been on your show. Why would I not do it? Like, Jesus Christ, like, I'm trying to get my foot in the door. You've had like fucking all these people from the industry that are like legends on your fucking show, like of course I'll do it, but it's like you got to respect everybody's time. Like I don't assume anything. I don't.
Right. Yeah, my schedule's been pretty nuts as of lately because I am a college student as of like 3 days ago. And I did not expect that to happen, but I auditioned for Berklee College of Music almost a year ago, and I've deferred several times just because, you know, with the pandemic, I wasn't really interested in moving to Boston from Seattle because I'm in Seattle. And then I tried to email them to cancel my deferral to potentially take some online classes from home. And I guess my deferral didn't go through because they were like, well, you start school on Monday. And I was like, excuse me, I was not made aware of this circumstance. And now I went from being a full-time musician to I have 7 college classes a week. And I have to learn, this was my homework today, this garbage notation. I don't know how to read music or write it, or I don't know how to do this, and now I'm writing down notes and I have homework and I have to do all of these interesting exercises. It's a whirlwind, and I'm not even done scheduling my classes. So that's been kind of a big change in my life, and luckily it's only a few months, so I'll get more time to, you know, work on what's next. But I am really grateful that I get the opportunity to learn about the ins and outs of how music works, because I am a rather analytical individual and I like to know how things work and why things sound the way that they do and why people like it.
College is dope as fuck though. I had so much fun.
Not online.
No, that sucks.
Not online.
Oh, you got the worst of it.
Yeah, I mean, I've taken college classes before. When I was my junior year of high school, I was a part-time college student at a private college for video game development, and I was studying game development, and that was interesting, and it was actually really fun. Obviously, I wasn't having the college experience where I was living on campus with a bunch of people, and it was a very niche college, as is the one that I'm going to now. It's a contemporary music school, so I don't know if I will ever have the true college experience. Also, what baffles me, and I don't know if you've, you know, seen this or like what college kids are going through now during the pandemic with online classes, but the majority of the kids in my classes, which are just Zoom calls, which we're doing right now, most of them are in Boston, like in their dorm rooms by themselves, taking their classes the same way that I'm taking them. And they are paying thousands of dollars more to live on campus to do the exact same thing that I am doing from home. And it is redonkulous. Like room and board expenses are fat.
Yeah.
Let alone tuition. So it just blows my mind that people, and a lot of them are from like out of the country. So they moved to Boston, Massachusetts from an entire different continent to sit in a room by themselves, isolated because we're in a goddamn pandemic, to go to school online. And it's so weird.
When I was in college, I've always been a business motherfucker. So,
where did you go?
I went to Georgian College in Ontario because I'm from Toronto, but now I live in Nova Scotia. So it's like basically it borders Maine. So like we get all that dope lobster and all that good shit. But I went to Georgian College, and everywhere in the college area, a bedroom for rent in a house was $500 a month, no matter where you went. And they'd be the size of a closet. Like once you had a bed in there, it was like that's a wrap. Like you have no space. So I was like, fuck that noise. I rented a house for $1,350 a month, and I rented 3 of the bedrooms out of a 4-bedroom house for $500 a month, and let them pay the fucking rent.
That's the way to go.
Right? So I was their landlord. And it was dope. And college for me, honestly, and I'm not encouraging anybody to do this, but like I went for business accounting because I already did the shit as a job. I just didn't have a piece of paper that said like, you know, your shit, so you should get paid accordingly. So I was kind of doing it for fucking like, you know, way less pay than I should have been, on top of like what I was already doing. And this is obviously way before I became fucking successful. And I found out pretty quick. I don't see myself being a fucking accountant sitting at a desk. I'm a pretty physical dude. Hence the MMA career, I guess, that kind of made sense, and made my ass famous. So it's like, okay, I don't want to do this. This is boring as fuck. And I just don't see myself sitting on my ass getting, bored out of my skull. And it's like, it feels like you're selling your soul. So for me, college just ended up being a really expensive party.
I feel like that's what it is for a lot of kids.
And a gym membership. I remember showing up to business math one day, which was like at an early morning class. And this chick that was in my class, that was in most of my other classes, looks at me kind of weird. I sat down beside her. And she's like, I didn't know you were in this class. I was like, that's because I never come.
Yeah, that's the thing. Everybody tells me about how college is so different from high school. And I actually had a wonderful high school experience. I went to an alternative high school after having an experience at like a regular one. And I absolutely loved it. I had to leave high school to go work with the label, but when it didn't work out, I actually went back because I missed it so much and I wanted to graduate with my friends. And I managed to graduate on time. But, when you're in high school, you wake up at 7:30, you go to school from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock, and you do your classes back to back, you get a lunch break. And then everybody's like, oh, college is nothing like that. You can go to school whenever you want. You only have 3 classes. They're an hour long. And then you can just walk around the campus and fucking party and whatever. And obviously, it probably would be different if I were on campus and we weren't in a pandemic. But as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to private school, this didn't occur to me until a few days ago that I'm in a private school with their own rules. I have 7 classes. That is more. I'm spending more hours in school right now as an online college student than I ever did as a high school student. I have more homework. I have like a 6-hour block of classes with no breaks. And it is ridiculous. And it's funny. If you are absent 3 times, you automatically fail the class. No exceptions.
Holy shit.
So you can't slack off, and it's expensive. It's like you're paying money to get stressed, not to deter anybody from going to college, and because it's probably a great experience, and it definitely depends on where you go, where you are, and who you're going with. But it's my first week, and I'm already slammed.
Right. I had a blast, but it was totally different. I was on site. It wasn't Zoom bullshit. I didn't miss out on all the cool shit and getting to meet people and all that. So
yeah, I mean, it would be cool to meet a bunch of other talented musicians that I can work with. There's a lot here. Actually, I want to talk about that. The pop industry in Seattle, Washington. It barely exists, but it's there, and I'm in it, and everybody knows each other, and it was so wonderful to get into that. And initially my interest in Berkeley was to connect with more musicians because it's just a bunch of super awesome instrumentalists, vocalists, producers, etc., just going into this school to congregate and learn and make music together. And we can't do that over Zoom, unfortunately. So I'm kind of missing that benefit of going to a music college. But in LA, everybody and their mom makes music. Like everybody makes music, everybody acts, everybody does movies, everybody models. And here in Seattle, it's less so like that. And the people that do make music, it's mainly hip hop and rock. And I'm not the biggest hip hop fan, but I love rock and roll. And I was in a rock band for a long time when I was a kid, and we did lots of shows around Seattle. So it's a great place for that. But people who make pop music are hard to find here. And but I found a few, and we're making awesome pop music here. We don't have to go to LA. Eventually, we're all going to be in LA eventually, unfortunately. But but it's like a really awesome niche pocket here that I found, and it's so special. And I really hope that they all get the recognition that they deserve, because it's so cool, and I prefer it here versus LA making music so much.
So in terms of rock, then, like, who do you dig? Like, do you have influences that kind of show up?
These are my Radiohead vinyls. They're not very straight. I am a huge Radiohead fan. They really inspired me to write because their writing style is just so strange.
It is.
And nothing makes sense. And I was like 13 and I was just vibing and I was like, this is so cool. I'm going to write 7-minute songs that mean nothing. And so I did. They were horrible. And but my biggest influences, I really, really like big poppy 80s rock. I really like Journey. I really like Foreigner. I really like Styx. They're more 70s. I love Styx. Who else? I also really like Acdc. They don't really fit that genre that I was referring to. They were my first concert ever. My first concert was Acdc. I was 7, and was at the Tacoma Dome. I forget what tour it was or what year it was. It was probably like 2008 or something. And then I saw them again for the Rock or Bust tour when I was 14. And that was actually the last show that the lead vocalist, Brian Johnson, did before he had some ear issues. And then Axl Rose replaced him in his wheelchair. That was weird. But but they were all huge influences to me. And I love singing rock music. But then my biggest influence, I think, vocally would be Ariana Grande. I had a huge pivotal moment when I was 15 or 16, when I was like, I love rock and roll, but realistically, as an artist, I want to make pop music. And I wasn't really a fan of pop music. In fact, I was like an edgy little emo kid who was like, ew, pop music, disgusting. Listen to some real music, like fucking Radiohead. And but then I was like, you know what? If I want to make pop music, I'm going to have to start listening to pop music and stop being so edgy and weird. And so the first person that came to mind was Ariana Grande. She was famous. She had a great voice. I hadn't really listened to many of her songs other than the ones that I heard on the radio. So I downloaded her most recent album and I listened to I forgot what it was. I think it was track number 8. It was called Greedy. And it blew my fucking mind. Her voice is just so stunning and insane. And the way that she can just do all of these vocal gymnastics that I never would have dreamed of being able to do. It was incredible. And I was like, oh my God, I want to sing like this. And so I started every single day. I just spent hours watching videos of her sing, not just her, but other, pop diva vocalists, female. I would just study their technique. I would watch the way they performed. I would watch the way they moved their mouths, the way that their throats moved when they hit certain notes. And I just studied the performance hardcore, and I practiced and I copied pretty much everything that Ariana did until I could do it too. And through that, I ended up developing my own style that was very inspired by her, but also kind of culminated my, rock influences that I had when I was a kid, mostly in my writing. I really like to tell a cohesive story. And I see that a lot in Journey's music. And that's why they inspired me so much. I've seen them a few times too. They were awesome. But Ariana kind of changed my life vocally. She just inspired me to start making the music that I make today. And she inspired me to become a better vocalist because I wasn't very good. I was okay. And I smoked a lot of cigarettes. I quit smoking because I couldn't sound like her if I was smoking so many songs every day. But yeah.
Hey, congrats on that. I'm on, I think, 8 or 9 years now, smoke free. Thanks, man. I just got fed up with this shit. In all honesty, I was done with it. Thank God, when I look at the price of it now, I'm like, you're gonna pay $25 a pack to feel like a bag of shit. Fuck that noise. It's stupid.
It was a part of the culture. I mean, I would play a show, I would be singing some ridiculously hard to sing song by Queensryche or something. And I would go out back and I would smoke a cigarette, and I was like, I am a rock star. This is what I do. And then I was like, I want to be Ariana Grande, so I'm going to have to put these down because I don't think she partakes.
That's so good. I mean, yeah, it got to a point where Like for me, I was a stubborn motherfucker. When I was in college, that's when I quit.
Yeah.
At the height of like partying my ass off is when I decided that I was done with it, which is funny. It's probably the opposite of what anyone expects. And I have to thank somebody because I was living in a house where they smoked in the house. Everyone smoked in the house. And I was like, I'm done as of fucking January 1st. Like New Year's Day is like it. There's, New Year's Eve, I'll have my fun. And then after that, I'm not touching the shit. And this dude that I was buddies with was like, you're going to quit smoking in a house full of fucking people that smoke in the house. Good luck with all that. And I was like, you just decided for me I'm never fucking smoking again because I will not give you the fucking satisfaction of saying I told you so. Because I'm one stubborn son of a bitch. And I honestly quit at that point and it never bothered me.
Oh, wow.
Like I thought, okay, when I drink coffee, it's going to fucking bother me because it kind of goes hand in hand. Or even worse, when I drink beer or anything like that, you start drinking, you start smoking. That's just kind of the way it goes. It never bothered me. I just decided I was fucking done, and that was that. I would literally stand fucking outside when they were outside smoking and talking when they decided to smoke outside at the next place because we all moved to another place, and I, rented a place, and I was like, come with me. And fucking, they rented rooms and whatever. So they would have their friends over, and they'd be outside smoking. So like, the owners don't want smoking in this house. So that's not my say. That's not my choice. That's the owners. And so I'd stand outside with them. And they're like, does this bother you? I was like, fuck no. They're like, how? I'm like, it's just something I don't do anymore, as far as I'm concerned.
You had a really good experience. When I quit, it's kind of fuzzy for me because I think I smoked consistently for about 3 years. And I was also really young. It's still, now they just changed the law. You have to be 21 to buy tobacco products. So at the time it wasn't legal, and it was only legal for me to buy tobacco products for a good 6 months. And then they swiftly changed the law so that you had to be 21 to make a purchase. But I actually quit because I started vaping instead, which most of the kids my age vape and they've never smoked a day in their life. And I think that that's actually really problematic because I started using it for the reason that it was intended for, and it helped so much. And it was the way that I was able to quit smoking cigarettes, and it saved my voice, it saved my health. I instantly started feeling better. Not that inhaling anything into your lungs other than oxygen is good for you by any means, but nowadays I think it's kind of tricky to see all of these kids who've never smoked a day in their life get addicted to nicotine so abruptly because of electronic cigarettes. And it's tricky because, for example, like this is the device that I use. It's the Juul, not sponsored, but it's a different apparatus to like the traditional vaping. So the fluid inside are nicotine salts, which deliver nicotine into the bloodstream in the same manner that tobacco does upon inhalation versus traditional vape juice, which is a ratio of propylene glycol and vegetable glycerin with a nicotine additive. That's a lot different, which is why people really couldn't kick the smoking when they started. But then when these came out, they pretty much mimic the exact feeling of smoking a cigarette, which is why I was able to quit and so many other people were able to quit. However, that being said, you get the exact same feeling of smoking a cigarette with none of the taste, the smell, or any of that. So then these kids, they get one of these upon never touching tobacco or nicotine, and then it's just instant, full addiction, and it's just like they've never had it before, and then they get this huge, amount of nicotine into their body, and it's so hard to quit after that. And I think it's so pointless. So if I could say anything to anybody who's considering vaping and they've never smoked, don't fucking do it, because you will get addicted to nicotine for no reason. It's made for you to quit, not for you to get addicted.
Right. It's so stupid how it became a trend for people that never touched the shit. It's like you did the smart thing and now you're fucking up.
Yeah, it's so sad. It's like, I mean, I suppose it's the same thing for people who pick up cigarettes in the first place. I mean, like, why pick it up if you're going to get addicted to it? But I just think it's the intent of, the product. Initially, it's because this one's marketed as to adult smokers who want to quit successfully. And I was not an adult smoker, but I quit successfully because of this product. And not for kids who want to get addicted to nicotine instantly and swiftly.
Right. I think with cigarettes too, and I'm not justifying it in any way, but I feel like the reason everybody started was it was a social thing.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's got that mindset of, oh, I'm not going to get addicted. That's not me.
Yes, you will.
Right. It's like it starts out, a certain way. One every fucking few hours. And then before you know it, you're a half a pack a day kind of guy. It just works out that way. It's stupid, but that's the mentality of like, oh, it's a social thing. You're going to have a conversation with people. You start smoking. Like, you get into a really heavy conversation with someone. You'll find yourself, I just put one out. A minute later, I'm sparking up another one. It just goes with the conversation. And if you're drinking, it's like, I just put one out, time for another one, because it's going so well with the fucking alcohol. When you wake up in the morning, you have your morning coffee. You got to have your fucking morning cigarette. It's so stupid how it becomes such a routine. And that's ultimately the worst part of it. It's not even the fucking nicotine with cigarettes. It's just fucking that habit.
Yeah, it's just, this is what I do. And
right. Especially if you're a creature of habit, and if you're one of those people that you have that routine about you, that's pretty much what happens. It's a psychological thing more than anything. So I just got fed up with it. I was like, I'm done paying out the ass to feel like a bag of fucking shit.
I mean, frankly, nowadays, vaping products are far more expensive than tobacco. I mean, like, this is an expensive habit in and of itself. Granted, it has, made my health improve and my voice improve. And there isn't really enough research or enough time that this has been around to show whether or not, or, the full extent that it will do on your body. But another big problem with these products being out is when you're making cigarettes, it's pretty much the same thing. It's tobacco and paper with a filter, and there's different iterations and there's different blends, but you're pretty much getting the same thing. It's a buttload of carcinogens and nicotine and burning tobacco. There's a combustion process going on. And for these, there's no combustion process going on. It's vaporizing liquid. But it's so easy to make. I have made it before. You can buy the ingredients online and anybody can make it and anybody can put anything in it. And smoke shops nowadays, they will take product from anybody who wants to sell it to them. And that's why I only buy vaping products at gas stations and I never buy it at smoke shops, because I know that they're FDA approved and regulated. And for like large companies like Juul, they have to go through a lot of processes to, verify that their ingredients are good. Whereas like, theoretically, I could start manufacturing vaping products, go to my local vape shop and say, okay, here's my brand. Would you like to purchase for your inventory? And they would say yes. And I could be putting like fucking vitamin E oil in there and like destroying people's lungs. And that's the problem, because it's cheaper to buy the third party stuff. It's like $5 for a whole bottle and you have no idea what's in it. And it could potentially be wrecking your lungs because it doesn't have to go through any states of approval to be distributed versus, bigger brands. Like this one only has 5 ingredients and I know what they are, and you can find the list everywhere online because they're very Googleable, and they have to go through massive FDA approval to be sold in the United States. However, it's $20 for 4 pods.
Right. It's alarming.
Yeah, that's like a $40 a week habit.
Right.
Albeit healthier, but it's a give or take.
Yeah, you guys do things way different, because here in Canada, you can buy cigarettes or alcohol when you're 19.
Yeah. So I would be legally able to do whatever I want there because I'm 19.
Right. So when I lived in Niagara, we get a lot of Americans come over the border so they can legally drink.
Yeah. I know a lot of kids who do that because we live right below BC. So
there you go. Right. So, That's funny. You'd run into people that you knew were like, oh, you're American because you're in the bar fucking just having a blast to the point where like no one else is having as much fun as you. And you're obviously getting away with something here. And it shows. You're enjoying it because of that. And sure enough, if you talk to them, yeah, we came across the border because you got to be 21 where we come from. I knew it. And then they fuck off back across the border. So it's pretty funny, man.
That is really funny.
Well,
anyways, I have about 3 minutes till I have to go to an audition. So any closing remarks?
Hey, let's plug whatever you want. And my bad. Fuck. Yeah, we went over. Shit. God damn. Time flies. Yeah. Yeah, anything you want to promote besides what I'm already going to throw on here?
All right. Well, I released my first record, Get Me High, on December 6th, and it is out. It's available on all streaming platforms, has been for a while. I also recently, about 2 weeks ago, released a collaboration with my best friend, Nikki Buell. It's called Thirsty. It's out. And I have my follow-up single, which is a favorite of mine. It's called Telepathically. That comes out on February 5th, so next Friday. It has a music video as well, so it'll be available on all streaming platforms. You can find me on Instagram at Theannathompson, Twitter at Edgy Thompson, TikTok at Theannathompson, all of which are myself. And you can listen to my music and you can pre-save Telepathically. I don't know if Keith wants to put up a link or anything, but
I put all your info, all your links, any links you got, I'll put them all up in the descriptions and make life easier for everybody.
All right. Well, if you want to play Get Me High, feel free.
Absolutely going to. And I appreciate your time so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, anytime. Sorry for fucking taking up all your goddamn time. We lost it. And all the best at your audition. Appreciate the hell out of you. Come back anytime. And thanks so much. You're fucking ridiculously talented.
Thank you so much. I very much appreciate it.
Oh, it's true. Kick ass. All right.
Will do.
All right. Have a good one.
You too. Bye, Keith.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Never been a stoner, but I wouldn't mind a blunt with you. Suffer through the burning in my lungs to be up next to you. It's not my thing, but you're my type. I'm not gonna lie, you got me tripping, seeing pretty lights. Near intoxication every time you get inside. It's addicting, go grab a light. I don't need the drugs, I just got your love. You get me high, you slow me down. The late night drives, the midnight sounds. You get me high, let's slow this down. You get me high. Finding license plates from out of state to nudge you in the side, just to get attention and your hand back on my thigh. I inhale you, I feel alive. I don't need the drugs, I just got your love. You get me high, you slow me down. The late night drives, the midnight sounds. You get me high, let's slow this down.
right, y'all. So that was the amazingly talented Anna Thompson. Fucking unreal talent, and what a genius, you know. To be 19 especially, and already have such intelligence when it comes to navigating the fucking difficult terrain of this business, this industry. It's fucking unreal how complex it is, and how, you know, confusing it can be. So I think it's fucking amazing. It's, you know, obviously a sign of her sheer brilliance, that she's obviously a genius to be able to kind of pick up and retain that information and know what she's doing now. And, you know, obviously there's a lot to learn. So by the time she hits her 30s especially, she's going to be a fucking, like, she'll probably own her own label at that point and just be this brilliant business mind in the industry. I predict that, because she obviously knows so much already and has an understanding as to why things are the way they are, what needs to change, what is in place for a reason, what the benefits are, what the negative drawbacks are. That's intelligence and maturity, I think. So I loved having her. I want to have her back and see how things are going for her once everything's released. But in the meantime, you get to hear what you've heard, her music. And check her out, man, on TikTok, on fucking basically everywhere. Links are in the description. And check her out. Support her, man. She deserves it. She's got a Facebook page as well, Anna Thompson. Check her out. You'll know her when you see her. And give her some love, man. Hit that like button and show some love, because she deserves it. She's busting her ass. And she's definitely not looking for, you know, an easy road, but she's just taking it, man. I love it. And she's a surefire success, because the people that are willing to work for it are eventually going to get it. And when you got that kind of talent backing you, it's just kind of a given. She hangs in there and just kind of keeps swinging for the fences. She's going to fucking hit it. So it's just a matter of when, and I don't think it's far off, to be honest with you. So give her some love. I respect y'all. I appreciate y'all. And I will catch your asses later.